It's time for the best coverage of the top stories in sports. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
Indeed it does, and great to have you with us on this Wednesday edition of the show. Lots to do over the next 60 minutes. Our friend Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com stops by, talk about some of the big moves in NBA free agency and trades and summer league. Another big NBA contract extension has been given out. It feels like that's just an everyday story right now in this offseason. So we'll get into all the good NBA stuff with Kurt Helin. A couple of WNBA cities that failed the first time around are getting another opportunity to have teams later on in this decade. That news came down last week. So it got me wondering, where else would we like to see cities get a second shot at having a pro sports team? We'll talk about that. Anybody who knows me well knows one that I'm certainly going to say. I'll be interested to see what Sam has to say when we have that conversation a little later on as well. But let's talk some baseball, Sam Yarnell. Why not? Jacob Misiorowski doesn't suck. He's really good. He had one bad start last week against the Mets, and everybody was like, oh, see? There's a flash in the pan after the Mets beat him up a little bit. And then he comes back last night, first inning against Shohei Ohtani. He gives up a long home run on a breaking ball. By the way, why are you throwing a breaking ball? You throw the ball 102 miles an hour. Enough with it. Throw him the heater. Instead, he throws him a breaking ball, and Ohtani hits it 700 feet at Miller Park. So after that, he was fantastic. He struck out 12 of the 16 batters he retired in this game, Sam. And Jacob Misiorowski just continues to show why the Brewers have so much confidence in him and why the best is yet to come.
Yeah, Jacob Misiorowski is great. He is going to be good for a very long time. I mean, that the Brewers pitching factory is, I talk about with David Ardsma every time he comes on the show. The Brewers pitching factory continues to be undefeated. Look outside of what Jacob Misiorowski did yesterday against arguably the most talented lineup in Major League Baseball. Yep. They pitched a perfect game. Or maybe they allowed one base runner, didn't allow a hit in the last 3 innings of that game. The Milwaukee Brewers pitching staff is a force to be reckoned with. The story coming out of this game for me is obviously the Dodgers lose again. And now, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm worried about the Los Angeles Dodgers. They're very clearly still the best team in the National League. They're very clearly still the second best team in Major League Baseball. A top 2 team even. I think there's an argument to be made that they're better than the Tigers are. But this is a weird losing streak now, and it's reached 5 games. It's reached a whole turn through the rotation, which has obviously been kind of our big question mark with this team this year. With all the pitching injuries they've dealt with, and now Clayton Kershaw actually making meaningful starts and having good starts, including yesterday. It's been a giant question mark around this pitching staff, and I think that it's only gotten bigger in the midst of this 5-game losing streak. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm worried about the Los Angeles Dodgers. They are still the rightful World Series favorites. There's a reason why. They're the most talented team in baseball, and it's not particularly close. But this is that stretch in the season where you start to scratch your head, and when we look back on it in September, we're going to be like, wow, how silly were we for doing this in mid-July?
Yes.
But I'm scratching my head with the Los Angeles Dodgers right now.
I'm saying it now. I'm scratching. I'm doing exactly what you said, though. I'm saying, why are we getting bent out of shape? In a 162-game season, they've lost 5 in a row, and there's still 19 games over 500. That's how much of a
5-game division league.
That's how much padding they have in that division, that they could lose 5 in a row. The Giants could win 4 in a row, and they still have a 5-game lead. The Giants, who we'll get to in just a moment. But when we talk about potential managers of the year, and we had this conversation last week on the show when we were doing our mid-season awards. I mean, Pat Murphy's got to be, at the top of the list when we're talking about manager of the year considerations, considering what he's done with this team, the slow start they got off to, some of the injuries they were dealing with early on, and what he's been able to accomplish, in a division that everybody kind of thought, it's the Cubs division. They're only 2.5 out in that NL Central right now, Sam.
You're exactly right, Jason. And betting wise, Craig Counsell still the minus 120 favorite over Pat Murphy at plus 390, who's the second favorite. So listen,
You can get the Brewers, by the way, at plus 370 right now to win that division. The Cubs at minus 330.
That was going to be my next point. I think this division or this award may come down to who wins the division, weirdly enough, in their first year with a new team. That may be what the voters are going to cast their votes on, is who can win the division over the other one. That's the only argument I could really hear for Craig Counsell right now, because you're exactly right. Pat Murphy has taken an objectively less talented team, performed above expectations, and oh, by the way, revived something that for a while there we thought may have gone with Craig Counsell in the pitching ability of this franchise as a whole. So I'm with you, Jason. I think Pat Murphy deserves to be a strong consideration for the NL Manager of the Year. I don't know if I could give it to Craig Counsell, even if the season ended right now.
If we're talking about Rookie of the Year in the National League right now, the betting favorite is still Jacob Misiorowski at minus 230, followed by Drake Baldwin, who is at plus 350, and then Agustin Ramirez, who is at plus 1,000. So Misiorowski still in the driver's seat, and FanDuel still can't give him a picture next to his name on the website. I don't understand why.
That may be, I don't know why either, but it may be like a technological thing where they have to update it before the season starts, and they didn't have a picture of Misiorowski before the season starts. Rookie of the Year races are going to get very interesting over these next couple months, Jason. I mean, Jacob Wilson going down yesterday with an injury. His number to win the AL Rookie of the Year is all the way down to minus 120. And guess who's right behind him? Cam Smith at plus 135. And the loyal listeners of this show are sitting on a plus 7,500 ticket for Cam Smith to win AL Rookie of the Year. So we just need him not to get hurt at this point.
And Nick Kurtz is plus 350, not far behind. Keep an eye on Nick Kurtz. Just saying. I would not.
Grand Slam last night really helped his case.
I'm telling you, the guy just keeps producing. I mean, you got to love the future of that franchise when you talk about Wilson and Kurtz at the top of that lineup for sure. All right. Misiorowski, fantastic last night, though. That is certainly the headline. Every time you think you've seen everything in baseball, something happens that reminds us you have not seen everything in baseball. Last night, AT&T or Oracle Park, whatever the hell the name of it is now, in San Francisco, Giants-Phillies, you've got to see the finish that everybody's talking about. We'll show it to you next. All right, we keep things moving on this Wednesday edition of Sports Wrap. Kurt Helin joins us in 10 minutes. We'll talk some NBA with him. Lots of offseason news to get to. Have the Knicks hired a head coach? Oh, they've hired a head coach. I'm wishing it was some bad dream that somehow they didn't hire Mike Brown to be their next head coach. Sam Yarnell. Every time, and I was having this conversation. I was talking with like a data geek last night, we'll just say. Data geek from San Francisco. I was at a conference, some networking party here in Las Vegas at the Bellagio. And I was talking to this guy about outcomes and predicting outcomes and statistics and all this stuff. And we were having a conversation about soccer, and it was this, the details aren't that important, but we were saying how difficult it is to predict outcomes in sports. And last night, we saw the example of examples of why you can try all you'd like to predict how things are going to turn out, how games are going to end, this pitch, that pitch. What happened in San Francisco last night between the Giants and Phillies almost defies logic. We have the Giants down 3-1 in the bottom of the ninth at home against the Phillies. When Patrick Bailey steps to the plate, you've got to see it to believe it. We'll give you both the Giants and the Phillies calls because they were both equally awesome.
I did not see that coming. Neither did my voice.
And a high fly ball to deep right center field. Castellanos is back, and it's off the top of the wall, and it's rolling along the warning track. The game is tied. Bailey's around third. He's heading for home. This is going to be an inside the park walk-off home run. An inside the park 3-run walk-off home run that went off the top of Triple's alley.
Well, Tom, I've seen a whole lot of things in this game, but I've never seen that.
Just fantastic. Dwayne Kuiper, Mike Kruka on the call over on NBC Sports Bay Area and over on NBC Sports Philadelphia. Tom McCarthy with the call. Just fantastic. And again, living proof that you can go see baseball a million times and see something you've never seen before. What a finish, Sam.
The first inside the park
There you go.
walk-off home run by a catcher since Benny Tate did it on August 11th, 1926. I'm pretty sure that's the year Jason was born.
Cheap shot.
Truly, it is. It's the old adage, right? It's exactly why you buy a ticket to a baseball game, because no matter how much money you pay, you're not paying to see, New York against Washington and the hardy heritage of those two cities. You're paying because there's like a 1% chance you see something that nobody's ever seen before, or happens once every 100 years, right? It is truly the epitome of what is so great about such a historic sport in baseball that has so much nuance to it, around 30 different cities across the United States. Gosh, I love baseball, and that's the embodiment of why, Jason Page.
I'll give you a story. I don't know how. I mean, you're a little younger than me, but I was about your age when I saw it, actually, which is kind of funny. almost 22 years ago, I think it was 21, 22 years ago. I was about your age. I saw. God, I feel old when I say that. I watched Alex Rodriguez hit 2 home runs in 1 inning at Yankee Stadium. I saw A-Rod hit 2 home runs in 1 inning at Yankee Stadium, and it was literally one of those like, oh my God, did that just happen moments? I think it was 04 or 05 at Yankee Stadium when I was working at Sirius in New York. And we used to go to, a friend of mine and I had season tickets in the bleachers in right field at Yankee Stadium. And just one of the coolest things I've ever seen was that. I mean, I was at the Aaron Boone game, which was, an amazing moment. But, wow things that you just don't typically see. Seeing A-Rod hit 2 home runs in 1 inning was the one for me. But this was crazy. I was also at the 5-overtime UConn-Syracuse game at Madison Square Garden. So that was another one I was lucky enough to be at. But this was just off the charts. Amazing. And as we said just a few minutes ago, you've got the Giants who are hanging out 9 games over 500, 5 out in the NL West. The Padres also, same in the loss column with the Giants, and both of those teams still just kind of hanging around in the National League West right now, Sam.
I do. I still think, even to this day, I think that there are going to be 3 NL West teams in the National League playoffs when they roll around. I think that one of the Mets or Phillies is going to crash out come season's end.
Well, the Mets have certainly been an interesting study. 33-14 at home. They're 20-25 away from Citi Field, which I don't know if people saw it the other day, but one of the Philly sports talk hosts, I don't even want to say his name because I just think he's hot garbage, was getting on the Mets and saying, we need to investigate the Mets because their splits home versus the road are so incredible. Didn't have any evidence to point to the Mets doing any sort of wrongdoing, but felt the need to say that we need to investigate the Mets because their home and road splits, their winning percentage at home versus the road. Give me a break, dude.
There's nothing I love more in America than watching two bad sports towns go at it over who's a worse sports town.
Well said, Sam. Well said. Kurt Helin will join us coming up in a couple minutes. We'll get some thoughts with him. Talk all things NBA. Don't you go anywhere. We got a lot more to do. Welcome back. We take a break from the baseball conversation and talk some NBA because it's a Wednesday. We still got him on loan from his wife, who said we could talk to him for a couple of minutes today before he comes out to Vegas. Now let's see, is the wife secretly excited, happy that you're going to Vegas for Summer League because then she just gets the whole place to herself? Or is she like, damn, I got to hold this place down while he's gone? No. What's the real vibe in the Helin household with you getting ready to come out to Vegas?
They used to come out with me when my kids were younger. We would actually just rent a suite in I use a bunch of Marriott points and work it out with the team with NBC and get like a 2-bedroom suite at a Marriott resort and just in the middle of summer and just stay there, and they could do all the resort stuff. Now I think it's a trade-off. Like the first couple of days, she's like, "This is really nice. I get the whole bed. I get this," but there's also like all the responsibilities. Like after a while, you're like, I kind of like him around, do some of the dog walking, trash taking out kind of stuff. So.
All right, fair enough. We'll get to the Summer League stuff coming up in a few minutes because I know you're coming out here for that. But I want to get your thoughts on a couple of headlines. Chet Holmgren gets his rookie extension. No real shock there, right?
No. In fact, they paid Shea the largest contract in NBA history to lock him up. They got Chet. They will get Jalen Williams on a very similar deal to Chet's, basically another max contract. And then in 2 years, Jason, the luxury tax starts calling for them. Like they've built this thing beautifully, but the way this is structured now, they're going to have to make cuts. Guys like Hartenstein and maybe Caruso and or Dort, guys are going to have to start going to keep those stars together.
When you say luxury tax, are we talking first apron, second apron?
Second apron.
Oh,
the second apron will eventually come for them. If you've got 3 max guys, which they will then have, especially if the salary. Long story short, they think the growth rate of the salary cap may be slower than expected, and if so, it's a little slower than the max contract raises, and suddenly that gets tighter and tighter each year. So the day is coming. The second apron is coming for them. It's a few years out, and they're as well positioned as anyone to deal with it because they've got all those draft picks and they can draft guys or trade them for young or minimum players, but it's coming for them eventually. Like it's going to be hard. They're not going to be able to keep this team as constructed together that much longer.
It comes for everybody eventually, doesn't it? I mean, exactly. Yes. I see Orlando making this move with Paolo Banchero yesterday and signing him to this massive deal, which could be as much as almost $300 million, $280 million.
Yeah, if off the top of my head, it can get up to if he makes all NBA next year, which is distinct possibility.
280 or 270, right?
Yeah, it gets above 280, I think, over 5. So yeah.
I mean, and you look at, they have locked up the core of that group. Mm-hmm. And I said it yesterday on the show, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on it. It feels obviously a slower build because they've sucked for a while in Orlando, but it feels a lot like what we've seen in Oklahoma City, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Just in terms of the way they're putting it together.
They have drafted really well, and then they have built a team around the culture they wanted. This is still one of the elite defensive, like Oklahoma City, one of the elite defensive teams in the league. They were getting just enough offense, but they didn't have enough shooting. They needed more secondary playmaking. Desmond Bane and some of their other offseason moves, but Desmond Bane in particular solved so many questions for them. Just hand in glove fit for exactly what they need. Look, I was putting together my East rankings, and I've got them third. And and if you told me that they went on a Pacers-like run next year, got hot, and reached the finals, I could totally buy that. I mean, they were the 4 seed this year, and Banchero and Franz Wagner missed a chunk of the season.
So you're saying what? Cleveland 1, Knicks 2, Orlando 3?
Yeah, and then you get into how much do you believe in Atlanta. And here's the fun one, Jason. What do you do with the Sixers?
If they're healthy,
If they're healthy, they might be they're probably the best team in the East. But
isn't that crazy?
I don't know that I can bet on that either. Like if they got the 1 seed, I'd be like, yeah, I could see that. And if they were the 9 seed and had to fight their way through the plan, I'd be like, yeah, I could see that.
Now that we've had time to let it sink in, and Mike Brown is the next head coach of the New York Knicks, I still don't like it. I still don't feel good about it. But try and sell me on why I should like it.
2 reasons. Mike Brown's just a good coach. Mike Brown is a 2-time coach of the year, has taken a team to the finals, got Sacramento to the playoffs, which is arguably his greatest coaching achievement because they missed it for 16 straight years. Look, he's just going to be good. What you're betting on is that he is just different. Having a different voice in the room, having a new, tweaking some of how they approach the offense so it's not so much isolation, although Brunson's kind of an isolation player. Just making changes, just having someone different with different voices, is that enough? I think I think there's an argument to make that just having the change is what they need more than anything.
Are the Knicks tweaking anything roster-wise, or is this it? Is the Jordan Clarkson move it?
I would say really not much. Jordan Clarkson is kind of the move. And by the way, their bench scoring was terrible. This absolutely helps that. But yeah, you're essentially running it back with the core you had last year. And that core, reached the conference finals.
Are we any closer to a resolution on the Milwaukee situation with Giannis?
According to his social media, he is still partying on boats in Greece. It looked like possibly off Naxos, but I'm just kind of guessing at the location. No, not in the short term. He is going to come back and assess, but I think he would find himself in the same place LeBron does, which is, all right, I want to leave, but where am I going to go where the situation is better? And there's not that many teams that are going to take on guys making that much. Giannis is a little different, like he's in his prime. But you're going to you send him to either of them to New York, you've got the team to get him. Is that really worth it? Cleveland, kind of the same thing. Like there's not some simple move that makes this like, oh, he can just jump here, especially this late in the game.
You mentioned LeBron, and I only have a few seconds here, so I don't have enough time to flush this out. Is this thing in flux, or are we making more out of it than it tends to be, this idea of him potentially being moved?
I think it's highly unlikely he gets moved, just for the reasons I stated. A, he's never asked. He's got a no trade. He gets to decide when and how this happens. B, there's not necessarily a better situation for him, especially if he wants to contend. He's going to do that with the Lakers and Luka. But I will say this, there's a lot more buzz. There's a lot more eyes on it than there were. Like, I was convinced it wouldn't happen when the first idea came up, and now I'm kind of like, I don't think that's going to happen. Like, it's probably a next summer thing. Would he jump to New York or Cleveland or wherever to finish his career?
It's amazing that we're talking about him even playing another year beyond this year, which is a remarkable thought unto itself. Kurt Helin's going to hang out for one more segment. Talking NBA with him next. Coming up in 10 minutes, Detroit and Cleveland are getting redos in WNBA as far as getting a franchise. What other cities would we like to see get a do-over when it comes to a franchise? Sam and I will discuss. You got one, Kurt? I'll put you on the spot.
Wait,
you got one?
No, I was just starting to run through that on top of my head. Nothing off the top of my head that fast. Just
Seattle. I mean, Supersonics.
Seattle. Yeah, Seattle would be a good one where they kind of need it. That was such a proud franchise.
I was just having a conversation with somebody out here in Vegas, actually. So let me bring this up while we're on the topic. Not that I was planning to discuss this with you, but how many years away are we from expansion in the NBA in your mind? From those two teams, it's Vegas and Seattle
Vegas and Seattle. They are going to get serious about it this summer. It's probably still takes a year. They're not moving very fast with this, but they've got
28.
So, if they approve it this summer, then you're talking 29, 30 probably.
Oh, really? That far?
Yeah. Like there's also talk, as you well know, in Vegas, of new arenas being built out at the other end of one end of the strip out closer to Fontainebleau and that area. assuming all that comes together, you're still talking about a 2 to 3 year process to ramp everything up and get going. So something like that, it's probably more like 29, 30, somewhere in there, but it's coming.
Wow, I didn't think it would be that. I thought maybe around the time the A's. I was thinking 28 around the time the A's got in. You could potentially have an NBA team here.
I think it depends on how fast you can get the arena built, but it's still look. The league's not moving fast on this. If they don't approve it till 26, then the 28, 29 season is even optimistic. Probably 29, 30 might be more likely, but we'll see.
Wow, you're coming out here for the summer league. What's been the early buzz around the games that have taken place out here so far, and the ones in Utah as well?
Look, as this gets started, everybody's eyes are on Cooper Flagg, obviously, and the NBA, as it is so good at doing with the first night of Summer League, it has set up the social media spectacular that is Cooper Flagg versus Bronny James, right? Like, so every building's I'm already getting reports about how the ticket prices are through the roof and all that to get in there to the Thomas and Mack for that. So, also look, nobody's really seen Dylan Harper yet from the Spurs. So there's a lot of buzz around seeing those kind of guys. But the fun part of Summer League is always, wow, I didn't realize pick number X, 20, whatever, it was that good. Or this second rounder is, hey, John Wall looks really good in this game. He's really playing well. Who's this Jeremy Lin kid that's kind of hanging with him? Like, It's those moments that you're kind of just looking for.
Interesting. Is there somebody in the early going, whether it's VJ Edgecombe, Ace Bailey with the Jazz, that sort of opened eyes early on?
Edgecombe absolutely did. Put up 28 in his first game in Utah. Looked physically dominant. Looks like a guy who can step in and give, and I think we knew this going in and giving minutes right away. I'll add this. Summer League is a glorified pickup game. It is fast. It is up and down. It is not horribly well structured or efficient offenses. Guys don't practice much. They just get slapped together. Certain player types thrive in that. And VJ Edgecombe, for people who don't know, is kind of in style. I'm not saying he's this good, but in style is Anthony Edwards-like. Those kind of guys thrive. Those big, athletic, strong guys who can get to the rim and with the ball just thrive in this kind of environment.
Is it just, for Cooper Flagg, does it just come through it healthy?
Yeah, that's the rule with everybody.
It's got to be frightening for the Mavericks to have a guy like Cooper Flagg, and you just want him to come through it healthy.
There is a reason why all these top players play 1 or 2 games and are gone. Like you are not going to see Flagg more than twice. And frankly, Bronny played a little up in Bay Area with the California Classic. He will probably play 1 or 2 games in Vegas. Same thing. Get him out. All the stars really. By the second week, you rarely see guys of top 10 picks kind of guys playing much.
Give me a thought on what's going on with Nikola Jokic here. The idea, a lot of eyes were opened. A lot of people kind of freaked out. When ownership came out and talked about potentially having to move him at some point. Now they're saying no contract extension this summer. What's going on out there in Denver with him right now?
That was like the stupidest possible thing to say. Like, this is so bad. We might have to move No, you're not moving Jokic. You move everything around him. He was never going to sign this summer. That was never going to happen. Like, there are 80 million reasons he doesn't sign this summer. Like, he can sign a $206 million, I believe it's $206 million basically deal right now, or he can sign a $285 million 4-year deal a year from now. The money is he was never going to do this. He's also not like at risk. There's guys where you're like, man, you should just grab the money on the table while you can because you're injured a lot. Chet Holmgren, like grab that extension while you can. Jokic just plays every game, is incredibly durable. He's going to the money will be there for him next summer. So this was his decision not to sign. They offered him the max. He was never going to take it now. He'll sign a year from now.
Last one, not a shock. The Pacers aren't going to have Tyrese Halliburton for the entire season coming up here. Is it a gap year for them? Do the Celtics treat it the same way? Kind of give me a sense for both of those teams when it comes to Tatum and Halliburton and how both of those teams are going to treat those situations.
It is absolutely that way with the Pacers. Look, they'd also, remember, no Miles Turner now. They're going to have to they have to retool this thing for when Halliburton does come back. So they've got some work to do. They are going to be a play-in team kind of team.
Will they even be? I wonder if they're a lottery team.
They might even miss it. I think I have them 11th currently, like fighting for one of those bottom spots. Boston's a little better than that. They do have Jalen Williams. They've still got, Derek White. They've got talent around him. They're not going to be good. They are gap yearing this a little bit to save money, but they're not going to be terrible.
Kurt Helin, Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. Look forward to seeing you out here.
I look forward to it, man.
Odds and Ends wraps it up in 10 minutes. Sam Yarnell. I was thinking today, as I was preparing for the show, as the WNBA prepares to expand in earnest over the next 5 years, Philadelphia getting its first WNBA franchise, but Detroit and Cleveland are also getting a redo. They're going to get WNBA franchises for a second time. In the case of Detroit, they were a prolific franchise at one point, winning championships. Cleveland, not so much. But they're getting another crack at it for some reason. Other cities tried to get in. Houston tried to get in. And, I mean, we know about the long history of winning in Houston with the Comets. Cynthia Cooper. God, who was the other? There was another star on that Houston Comets team. I can't think of her name. But Cynthia Cooper is the one that always comes to mind. Cheryl Swoops was obviously there too. But anyway, in thinking about those two cities getting a redo, I was starting to think, fun topic to talk about on today's show. Cities that deserve a second chance at having sports franchises. And for me, I hate to say it, it always comes down to, come on, I'll give you 3 guesses. The first 2 don't count. Well, what is that? No, not money. That it comes down to money, but I'm saying the city that I would always say deserves a second chance is...
Oh, Hartford, Connecticut. Course. That's not hard.
Absolutely. The Whalers, if there's ever a city that deserved a second chance, it would be the Hartford Whalers. When you could say, God, they're about to go to Atlanta again, I think, the NHL. But no, we can't give the Whalers a franchise. No. So I'll always say the Hartford Whalers. But I'm curious, I'm curious to hear your thoughts as we kind of race through our brains. Cities that you would say, if I gave you 2 that deserve a second chance at having a major league franchise, who would you go with?
Well, I got 2 and a bonus for you. Because the bonus is like, should that really count? Should it not really count? We'll get that when we get to it.
All right.
The first one, obviously, NBA team back in Seattle. That to me feels like a no-brainer. It also feels like something that the NBA has like weirdly toyed with over the course of the last 10 years, which is like they started toying with it less than a decade after the Sonics had left. And now it feels like it actually may be close to fruition.
Yeah.
So that feels like a very easy answer for me, especially with like the fan base in that city, right? You see how much they show out for the Seahawks. You see how much they show out for the Storm, right? This is a city that loves basketball. I do think an NBA team belongs in Seattle. The other one that came to mind for me, weirdly enough, and this may be niche, Portland, Maine deserves a professional sports team to an extent. I know there are probably a bunch of people looking exactly like Jason right now. Portland, Maine is a very, very good sports city for their minor league sports. I could 100% see that translating to the major league level, to the professional level, or to the highest professional level, I should say. Not saying they need all of them, but give them a Major League Baseball team or an NBA team. They've shown for the Maine Blue Claws, then the Maine Celtics, that they can show out for a team like that. And obviously the Portland Sea Dogs draw as best as almost any team in the minor league baseball. So I 100% think Portland, Maine is my other option and my second city that deserves professional sports franchise. My bonus is that the NFL needs to send a team to Toronto. or somewhere in Canada. There are a ton of football fans in Canada, and the CFL runs in the opposite season as the NFL almost. So there is a market there. I know the experiments in sending teams to Toronto hasn't always worked in the past. That's largely because it was the Buffalo Bills, and quite frankly, they were really bad whenever the NFL tried to do that. If you send Josh Allen over the border for 3 games a year, they're going to sell a ton of tickets. There just needs to be some sort of NFL action in Canada. It doesn't even have to be Toronto. I'll even expand it all the way to Canada. If you want to do Winnipeg, Edmonton, wherever you want to go. I understand it. We need the NFL in Canada.
If we're talking Canadian, it's got to be the Montreal Expos. That city got screwed. That city got screwed with the lockout. They would have potentially won a World Series that year. They were the best team in baseball. And who knows how much the history of sports in Montreal changes if that season, 1994 or whatever, gets played through to its conclusion. How everything changes. The stadium situation, which eventually doesn't play out in their favor, and they wind up in Washington, and you wind up with the Nationals. Congratulations to our friends watching on Masson. You got a team as a result of another city's heartache. And folks in Washington, folks in Montreal deserve another opportunity at Major League Baseball. I would always say Montreal. I'll throw another one in there, Quebec. I'm giving love to our friends watching us on Games Plus in Canada today. Our friends in Quebec. I mean, the Nordiques. I mean, that's another city that I think, and there's been talk about the NHL going back there at some point. It's another city that deserves obviously an opportunity. And Vancouver's been discussed. The NBA is not. I don't think the NBA has written off the idea of potentially winding up back in Vancouver someday either. With a franchise back there as well. So I'll throw those out as well. But I'll always say Hartford first and foremost. Long live the whale, baby. Brass Bonanza. All day, every day. All right.
Gordie Howe.
Gordie Howe, baby. Kevin Dineen, Mike Liu.
Gordie Howe.
Paul Maurice. We're coming back. Odds and Ends wraps it up next. All right, just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Wednesday. Tomorrow on the show, probably David Ardsma. I haven't confirmed it, but he's usually here every Thursday to talk baseball with us. So why would tomorrow be any different? Talk with the former big league closer, reliever, our guy. Be curious to see what he thinks of Jacob Misiorowski's big bounce-back performance on Tuesday night. Get his thoughts on that and a whole bunch of more on Major League Baseball, that on tomorrow's show. If you have not done so yet, make sure to subscribe to the Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast, available on all your favorite podcasting platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, where else? Odyssey, TuneIn, Amazon, you name it. Anywhere you get a podcast. Anywhere you get a podcast, you can listen to the show commercial-free Monday through Friday. Make sure and subscribe to that. You can listen to it while you're on your way to work, in the shower, on the treadmill, anywhere you listen to your podcasts. All right. Also, in addition to being on over 220 affiliates across the U.S. with our daily and weekend show, we're also available on Spotify. You can watch the show on Spotify commercial-free Monday through Friday, and you can watch us on our YouTube channel, the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. Go and subscribe. Sports Wrap shorts are there, clips from the show, sometimes clips not from the show because news is always breaking, and when it is, sometimes we got something to say about it. Sports Wrap shorts are there just for that. All right, without any further delay, ladies and gentlemen, time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends, Sam Yarnell, a big change in F1 as Christian Horner is out as Red Bull chief after 20 years. After 20 years as the guy running that team, he is out He's been in charge since 2005, and of course they were dominant during the 2010s. They were dominant in the 2020s. But Christian Horner is out, and apparently there's some controversy there.
Yeah, it seems like there may be whispers of some allegations against Christian Horner that could have led to this firing. I mean, regardless, it clearly shakes up the F1 world to a degree that, like, what is going on with the sport? Over the course of the last 2 years, we've seen the most successful driver in recent history leave a team that he swore to stay with basically his entire life. You've seen the most successful driver in recent history. I was obviously referring to Lewis Hamilton there. Then you have the most successful driver in recent history, Max Verstappen, seemingly losing his ability to win in the prime of his career, his ability to win every race, I should say. And now, mere months later, you've got the team president of that very team leaving. It just feels like the whole world of F1 right now has been flipped completely on its head. And this is just another move that kind of goes and speaks towards that. I'm not sure what's going on, Jason, but I am sure that I'm very excited to watch the new season of Drive to Survive whenever it comes out.
Yeah, the news coming a year after Christian Horner kept his job. There was an internal sexual misconduct investigation coming from allegations, a former Red Bull Racing employee. Not sure how much that may have played into all of this, but 124 Grand Prix victories under the leadership of Christian Horner. It'll be interesting to see if somebody decides, obviously, to scoop him up. Sam decided to ruin my day as we were in the midst of doing this show when he said during one of our breaks, "Hey, Jay, did you see who the new cover girl, cover woman, cover person is for WNBA 2K is?" And I said, "No." And he said,
yes, our faithful, fearless leader, Angel Reese, will grace the cover of the WNBA edition of NBA 2K26. Asia Wilson? No. Nafisa Collier? No. Caitlin Clark? Gosh, no. Angel Reese. Butter pecan.
There's got to be backstory. There's got to be backstory as to why it winds up being her, though. Maybe it was offered to them and they said no. Maybe because there's the cover jinxes that are out there. There's got to be more to it than just they picked Angel Reese over Fee or any of these other stars or Paige Beckers or I don't know, the water boy or the water boy or the water girl that mops the floor. I mean, really.
Jason, if we're gonna put Angel Reese on the cover, we might as well put the team intern who stands under the basket during shoot around and grabs all those rebounds on the cover too. They have the same job. They just grab Angel Reese's misses.
You said it. Send your correspondences to Sam Yarnell, to our friends for our friends watching in Chicago today. You could send your correspondences to Sam Yarnell. There's a lot going on at Wimbledon. Unfortunately, a lot of it's happening while we're doing the show, so we can't really tell you what winds up happening. We'll have a full recap, though, tomorrow because the Ben Shelton-Yannick Sinner match is one that I am watching with great interest, so we'll let you know what happens there as we get closer to the semis.
What about Flavio Cobolli? I love Flavio today.
You betting him?
8-1. I had to.
There is value. Sam Yarnell will find it. It's going to do it for us. Thanks to Kurt Helin. Thanks to you, Sam. We'll see y'all back here tomorrow. David Ardsma should be here. I'm Jason. We'll see you later.